There was a castle on the peak of a mountain in a dense forest. A tall and majestic cedar tree stood outside one corner of the castle. A garrison of soldiers was stationed in the castle. On that cedar tree lived an owl. The owl would fly down into the ghati in search of food. The long grasses and bushes in the meadows were home to various small creatures and insects, which the owl fed on. Nearby, there was a large lake, home to many swans. Perched on his tree, the owl often gazed at the lake. He was mesmerized by the graceful swimming and flying of the swans. He admired their beauty, their pure white feathers, plump bodies, elegant necks, charming faces, and bright eyes. The owl longed to befriend a swan. One day, the owl flew down to the lake under the pretense of drinking water and perched on a bush near the shore. A graceful and serene swan was swimming nearby. As the swan approached, the owl found an excuse to strike up a conversation. "Dear swan, may I have your permission to drink some water? I am very thirsty," said the owl. The swan, startled, replied, "Friend, water is nature's gift to all. No one has exclusive rights over it." The owl drank water and then shook his head as if disappointed. The swan asked, "Friend, you seem dissatisfied. Has your thirst not been quenched?" The owl replied, "O swan, my thirst for water has been quenched, but your wise words have kindled in me a thirst for knowledge and wisdom. How will that thirst ever be satisfied?" The swan smiled and said, "Friend, you are welcome to visit me here anytime. We can talk, and what I know will become yours. I am sure I will also learn something from you." To maintain his status, the owl falsely claimed that he too was a king, the king of owls, Alukraj. After this lie, the owl felt obligated to invite Hansaraj to his palace. One day, the owl observed the activities inside the castle closely. He noticed the soldiers' routines and planned a strategy. He then visited Hansaraj. Upon seeing the owl, Hansaraj, who was swimming with some swan queens, said, "Friend, what brings you here at this hour?" The owl replied, "Dear friend, I have come to take you to my palace. You have hosted me many times. Now, it is my turn to serve you." Hansaraj tried to decline, saying, "Friend, there is no hurry. We can visit another time." But the owl insisted, "I will not leave today without taking you." Hansaraj agreed to go. Flying towards the mountaintop castle, the owl pointed to it and said, "That is my palace." Hansaraj was impressed. As they landed on the owl's tree, the castle soldiers were about to start their daily parade. Trumpets blared as part of their routine. The owl, knowing the soldiers' schedule, had timed the visit perfectly. "Look, my friend," said the owl, "the trumpets are being played in your honor, and my soldiers will now parade and salute you." As usual, the soldiers paraded and saluted the flag. Believing it was all in his honor, Hansaraj was overjoyed and said, "You are truly a mighty king, ruling like a valiant warrior." The owl, trying to impress further, said, "I have ordered my soldiers to play the trumpets and parade every day, while my esteemed guest, King Hansaraj, is here." Unaware of the truth, Hansaraj felt great respect for his owl friend. The owl, meanwhile, had gathered fruits, nuts, and violets beforehand to serve as a meal. While the food was simple, Hansaraj was already enchanted by the grand military parade. Soon, the soldiers received orders to leave the castle. The next day, as they began packing, Hansaraj remarked, "Friend, look, your soldiers are leaving without your permission." The startled owl replied, "Someone must have given them the wrong orders. I will stop them." He began hooting loudly. Hearing the owl's hoots, the soldiers considered it a bad omen and postponed their departure. The next day, the same thing happened. Frustrated, the commander ordered the soldiers to kill the inauspicious owl. One soldier shot an arrow, but it struck Hansaraj, who was sitting beside the owl. The swan fell, fluttered, and died. The owl mourned bitterly, saying, "Alas, my false pride has cost me my dearest friend. Shame on me." Lost in grief, the owl failed to notice a lurking jackal, which pounced on him and ended his life. Moral: false pride can be very costly. Never indulge in the pursuit of fake glory. There was a huge and magnificent tree in a forest, home to dozens of swans. Among them was an elderly and wise swan, known for his intelligence and foresight. All the swans respected him and called him Uncle. One day, Uncle Swan noticed a tiny vine creeping up the trunk of the tree, very close to the ground. He immediately called the other swans and warned them, "Look at this vine. Destroy it now. One day, it will lead us all to our doom." Young Swan laughed and said, "Uncle, how can this tiny vine put us in danger?" Uncle Swan patiently explained, "Right now, it seems small and harmless, but slowly it will grow and wrap itself around the entire trunk of the tree. Eventually, its stem will thicken and cling tightly to the tree, forming a natural ladder from the ground to our branches. Any hunter will be able to climb up easily and capture us." Another swan was doubtful. "How can a tiny vine become a ladder?" A third swan dismissed the warning. "Uncle, you're exaggerating. It's just a small plant." One of the swans muttered, "Uncle is just trying to show off his wisdom by telling us made-up stories." None of the swans took Uncle Swan's words seriously. They lacked the foresight to understand the danger. Time passed, and just as Uncle Swan had predicted, the vine grew and spread across the tree. Its stem thickened, forming a strong, natural ladder. Now, anyone could climb up the tree effortlessly. The swans finally realized that Uncle Swan had been right all along, but by then, it was too late. The vine was too strong to be removed. One day, while the swans were out searching for food, a hunter came by. He saw the vine ladder on the tree and immediately climbed up. He set a large net and left, hoping for a good catch. In the evening, the swans returned and landed on the tree as usual. But as soon as they settled, they found themselves trapped in the hunter's net. They struggled and flapped their wings, but it was no use. That was when they truly understood Uncle Swan's wisdom. They felt deep regret for not listening to him earlier. Uncle Swan sat quietly, disappointed and upset. One swan gathered courage and said, "Uncle, we were foolish, but please don't abandon us now." Another swan pleaded, "Only you can help us escape from this trap. We promise never to ignore your advice again." All the swans agreed, and Uncle Swan finally spoke. "Listen carefully. Tomorrow morning, when the hunter arrives, pretend to be dead. He will remove you from the net and place you on the ground, thinking you are lifeless. Even then, do not move. Once he places the last swan down, I will whistle. As soon as you hear my whistle, fly away as fast as you can." The next morning, the hunter arrived. The swans remained motionless, pretending to be dead. Believing they were lifeless, the hunter removed them from the net one by one and threw them to the ground. As soon as the last swan was placed down, Uncle Swan whistled. At that moment, all the swans sprang to life and flew away together. The hunter stood in shock, watching his prey escape right before his eyes. This story teaches us the importance of wisdom, foresight, and listening to those who have more experience. Sometimes, small problems ignored today can become big troubles in the future. It is always wise to act before it is too late.